1984 building as a shop and as a housing or shed for the motor grader with the blade on and a plow truck in the winter. We have a county employee who lives up in Irene, and in the wintertime, my understanding, and Mr. Solachek can share with me if I'm wrong, is that in order to get the plow, he has to leave his home in Irene, drive to Yankton, to the county shop, get that equipment, and then drive back up to Irene. If the county purchases this particular building, the intention would be to leave that truck and plow truck up there, and that we would use what we're referring to as the hoop building for cold storage for sand and salt. I was provided with a copy of a purchase agreement tonight, and I've already made a few corrections to it. I don't know who drafted it because it doesn't say on here who drafted it, but for the 3.18 acres and the 3 buildings that are involved, the seller is asking $100,000. However, if the county deeds over to the seller our 2540 shop, then the price would go down to $80,000. My understanding with talking with Mr. Solachek is that he has money in the budget that can be used to buy this piece of property. It seems logical to me that if we have county employees that work for the highway department that live in Irene, that we should have some equipment in Irene. This time we do not. So saying that Irene is approximately 25 minutes away, that's 50 minutes of wasted time when we could use that time to be plowing the roads. And we would no longer have to take the blade off the motor grader. And I have a picture, not very helpful to the Apple viewers, but I have circled the 2 buildings in question. Do you want the colored one? No, it's fine. The colored one is for you. And not all Apple viewers can't really see it anyway.
And it's important to note that those buildings, why Irene is in 3 counties, those buildings are in Yankton.
Yes, these buildings are in Yankton County. No, we're trying to buy buildings in Plain County.
I just wanted to make that.
No, they are in Yankton County. And if that is an acceptable solution, I guess my recommendation would be to hear from Mr. Solachek to see if he has anything different to add. But my recommendation would be to purchase this and get rid of the current highway shop building and lower the price to $80,000.
Yep. What Wanda said pretty much nailed it. With the shop that we currently have up there, the building is not in very good shape. There's no heat. This new building that we would turn into a shop, I would eventually plan on insulating it. In the wintertime, the motor grader never gets to thaw out. So we got to run it all the way back to Yankton. Changing blades when he's up there by himself, changing blades in the ice. Well, if we have
that's dangerous.
well, if we have a plow truck driver up there also, there's 2 people that he can have assistance doing that, and hopefully eventually not have to do it on a wet floor with ice, Also, there's room for storage up there, like in the wintertime. We could haul the paver up there, the rollers, stuff in the wintertime could have a roof over its head instead of sitting out in the elements. Nowadays, with all the electronics and stuff, it's a shame, especially what the equipment costs nowadays, to have it sitting outside.
We recommend you think this would help you become more efficient in your duties.
It would definitely help with efficiencies up there, yes.
It's on.
I know it.
The main thing would be helping protect our assets that we do have for equipment. There's so many pieces of equipment we're not using, we can throw up there for time being.
No, I agree with that, the plan, long term, we did have it fenced and security, shop if you have a breakdown up there. You can go there instead of, right now, if you have a breakdown, you gotta drive it 20 miles to Yankton and then drive it 20 miles back and then continue to where.
Well, and that's just it, the current building we have, we don't have a very good selection of tools up there, there's just not the room.
Yeah.
Versus having this building up there, we could have more of a facility to work on something or something.
You know, and I think it may help, you know, that Turkey Valley, and Irene, you know, those folks up there, you know, to kind of show them we're trying to do more to help maintain those roads up there, because they are kind of on the east corner, northeast corner of the town.
And the other thing is where our current shop is, the lot is only 70 by 100.
So, yeah, it's 1.15 acres.
You're right. So there's no room to do anything. Like if we wanted to build a new building there, it'd be pretty tight.
And correct me if I'm wrong, we did look at the cost of building a new building on that site, which far exceeds the amount that we would anticipate paying for this.
Correct. If I remember right, I'd have to look back at them bids, but because I got a quote for like a Morton building and a James Steel building, and I want to say we're in the 300,000 range. Are we going to have to put a little bit of money into this place to get it insulated and stuff? Yes, but our footprint that we have there is huge. So what did we say it was, 3 acres?
3.18.
Versus 100 by 70. We could actually have a stockpile of gravel up there if we wanted.
And one additional thing, given, given the recent flooding in the area, I did ask Mr. Solacek to go up there and take pictures to see whether or not we would be ever in danger of flooding, and that's not a thing.
No, it's not going to be an issue at all. The elevation, you know, the swamp slough or whatever by the rodeo grounds there, our building's actually probably, this building would be 10 to 12 feet higher than that, so I don't foresee that ever being an issue.
Really quick, it's just this parcel.
It's,
This circuit part, this parcel.
here, I have, somewhere, I have a picture. That one. I know, it's not very helpful here, but
Okay.
he's got that one, he's got that one in black and white.
Okay.
But yeah, that, there it is, there you are.
I was just looking it up on Beacon, it's like it says it's a little bit larger than the 3 acres.
Yeah, 3.18 suppose.
It says, on Beacon it says like 5.3, but.
Well, I
There-
think.
There's
I
two
think
different lots there that we were talking
There's
about.
there's
And
two
one,
different
yeah.
lots. The additional portion is next door or adjacent and has 2 grain bins on it, which are not part of the school.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you about, because there's grain bins and other stuff that's like, are we going to be taking on
No.
that and not doing that? So we wouldn't have to take on any of that.
No.
Okay.
The only thing we have to do is there's some kind of rain moving equipment on the front, I believe, of one of the
Mhm.
buildings that would have to come down.
Okay.
That would take long.
I would move that we accept the proposal for the $80,000 deal.
John, the only thing I want to say is we have to declare the property surplus, which we all know, but because we'll do it on a private sale, we do have to get it appraised. To sell it.
The old one.
We have to get over appraised. It can be appraised lower, right? For
No,
say
that's
15, if you sell it for 20, that's okay.
But if
we
it's
sell
worth
it for
40 and we're selling it for 20, it would be a
So,
bump.
yep, then we have to get the appraised and then we
Rob,
file it.
Rob, what would you recommend? Would you recommend we like authorize Wanda to do this transaction, get an appraiser, or how what would be the best way, the cleanest way to do this?
Yeah, well, you're just gonna have to declare it surplus, right? And then you have to hire an appraiser to get it appraised. And I mean, you could have Wanda get an appraiser, that's okay, but you're gonna have to make a motion to hire an appraiser.
You
Or
want to
authorize Wanda to get an appraiser.
Do you want a market analysis or full-blown appraisal?
Well, an appraisal, says an appraisal. It says.
So the first motion is we need to declare it surplus. I'd make a motion to declare the Utica Highway, the Irene Highway building as surplus.
And I'll second that.
And then
I've got a motion and a second.
We have a
Madam
motion.
Chairman.
we have a motion and a second, thank you. Now, do we want a voice vote?
Yeah, I think for all, whatever emotions you are with this, you are spending money.
Voice vote. All right.
Dan,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Wanda,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Then I'd make a motion to have authorized Wanda to hire an appraiser to get a value for the building. Is that
Yeah, and I think that's fine. You have to get an appraisal on the highway here.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Ryan, for approval of the hiring of an appraiser, and again, we need a voice vote.
Dan,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Wanda.
Yes. And then thirdly, in the event that the appraisal comes back at least $20,000 or less, that the county be authorized to enter into a real estate purchase agreement with the seller.
Don already started a motion.
I know, that's why I said we need it now.
Would it be better to do the county or just like authorize like Wanda to do it, because there could be a bunch of stuff back and
I think
forth.
The council's going to make a motion. And then the question would be is if, what happens if it comes in higher?
I guess we come back here, or we pay $100,000. It's kind of an either or. 100,000 cash or 80,000 and the Irene Highway shop. Whichever's better for the county. Well, I
No,
don't know.
I'm okay with the
I don't
motion.
think I can make that motion.
No, the one I'm okay with making the motion, if the appraisal comes in 20,000 or less, the state is 20. If it's more than 20, then we have to entertain and make a different plan. Yes.
Somebody has to make that motion.
All right.
You're brave.
Second.
I'll move that if the appraisal comes in at 20,000 or less, that we move forward with the current plan. Otherwise, we will have to come back here and discuss the alternate.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by, I think it was Dan. That was done. Voice vote, please.
Ryan,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Wanda.
Yes. I think we're good for this one. I'll find out who drafted this purchase agreement that I've now written all over, and we'll send it back to them so that they can correct it before the next hearing. And then, I don't think I'm any longer chairman. I think Mr. Markworth will come back to me.
You got it for the rest of the meeting. Okay.
That's all right, I like to think I run an efficient.
Okay, next meeting, next item on the agenda, title change for deputies. Preston.
Good evening, Commission. So in the memo that I sent a while back, the position I'm looking to add, so currently we have a deputy clerk position. We have two ladies up front that work that. There's Terry and Lene. Terry has been with the Sheriff's Office for 19 years. She is currently maxed out in grade 12 of her grade. So what I'm asking is that there's two distinct positions, I would say, in the front. Terry Lene, Lene's been with the Sheriff's Office 4 years full-time. Terry's been with the Sheriff's Office. I'm her third sheriff, and as you know, Yankton County's had long-time sheriffs in office. So what I'm looking to do would be add a position to, and I need to make an adjustment to grade 8, not a grade 7. With her time and experience already in the office for 19 years, she's already making what the grade 8 would make. So I would just adjust where she would need to be, but this would just be a senior deputy clerk position, not a deputy clerk. So there's two distinct positions between her and Lene. And if you see the attachments, I typed up the job description. If you got any questions about it, and the reason why I choose a grade 8 is because on the pay scale, the pay matrix, I think, and I'll use an example for the state attorney's office, their senior legal administrator is at a grade 8. And Terry's been there for 19 years, and she helps me with the legal paperwork, the sheriff's executions, the distress warrants, the sheriff foreclosure sales, because we do sell houses at times. And you can read through the full job description of it. But I had her do, kind of list me what her duties are, and so that's why the majority of them is in there.
Just so I'm clear, there we go, just so I'm clear, you're wanting to change this job description so that she can continue to increase in salary above and beyond the annual increase.
Correct. And her job title is much different than deputy clerk. So it's actually not moving a job title, it's just adding a senior deputy clerk versus the deputy clerk.
Which makes it so that she can continue to get wage increases above and beyond the 3%. Correct?
Just-
No?
No, because on the wage scale, whenever you guys decide, if, on raises, that automatically goes up on the matrix. So there's nothing more.
The cost of living is always happening every year. This is just an added position as a senior deputy clerk to grade 8.
I get it, that you want to make it a grade 8 because she's a grade 12 now. You want to change it so that her income goes up.
But I'm not changing the title, I'm adding a position.
And then if she makes more, that's up to Preston to give her a step.
Yeah, I'm within budget
Every
on
year.
this too, so.
So grade 8, or is that what your, grade 8 was where you start? What's the base salary for that? I don't have a.
Grade 6 for deputy clerk.
So she's going up 2 grades?
But her pay would be adjusted to where the step would need to be accurate, where it would
Which is what
reflect.
number?
I think it would be a 4. 4 or 5.
What's the salary?
So what is the salary
So
bonus?
currently she's making $54,996.01. If she was to get her step increase based on the grade change of added position, it'd be $55,328.
What grade and stuff does she right now?
Right now she'd be a grade 6, step 12. So she's maxed out on when they revised this whole grade scale, I think a few years back.
She's going to step her up to an 8.
Yep. But her current salary at 19 years at the sheriff's office, she's already making what a grade 8 would be. If that makes sense.
Or the apple year.
I'm sorry. I can start from the very beginning.
So kind of on and off too.
Her step would go to what then?
So she would go, so her anniversary date will be in August of this year. So she was maxed last year at 12. So the position would be senior deputy clerk, because there's 2 distinct positions I would say up front. And she would go to a grade 8, step 5. So it'd be a little over $1,000 pay increase for her step.
John, what's the status on the alternative HR that was taking a look at all of that? Is that?
Well, all of the department heads have copies of the new,
So it's in review?
it's in review right now.
So I think maybe the best thing would be just to do it all at once, because, not that I'm sure she's deserving, but then there'll be another deserving department in next month, but it's just best to do this all at once then, in my opinion.
Is that a
Especially
motion?
So this is, you're creating the position, senior deputy clerk. You have right now 2 deputy clerks.
I have 2 deputy clerks.
Okay.
One's been there for 4 years.
Yeah.
The other's been there for 19 years.
Yeah, so you would eliminate 1 deputy clerk, so you have just the 2 positions left, or?
There'd still be 2 positions, but there'd be a deputy clerk and then there'd be somebody above the deputy clerk.
Was that a motion again?
Well, I don't know if we need a
So
motion.
right now, we're just talking about developing the new title.
Because her anniversary is not until August anyways. My suggestion was, I tried to be comparable with what the HR suggestion was, and I tried to go with, because we do legal paperwork at the sheriff's office, a grade 8 would be a senior legal admin, just like at the state's attorney's office. So I was trying to make it comparable too. She's already at that grade salary. I would just move her back to adjust where she needs to be.
Right now, all we're doing is adding another title. We're not discussing salaries at this point in time with Terry.
I'm not changing her salary tonight. It's just an added position as a senior deputy clerk, and her anniversary date will be in August.
And then in August,
Didn't we do the same thing when you got rid of the chief deputy and then got 2 separate deputies, and then they stepped up on different wages and it increased the salary?
No. So on that deal, there's still a chief deputy position still on the matrix. When I came in that day, it wasn't to change anybody's salary. It was to change the title from a lieutenant to a captain. That was it.
I get it, and then they got to be a captain. And
But they had
then-
been there long enough where they were currently already at that salary. So they didn't get a pay increase until they got their step. That was it.
I guess I don't disagree with anything, I just think it'd be better if we're doing a comprehensive view of all these positions, do it at the same time throughout the county. It's how I prefer to do it, rather than individuals coming in. And this is great information, don't disagree with it, but that's how I would prefer.
I would second that.
So is that a motion to postpone?
Well,
Do we have to make a motion
I
on
mean,
that?
I don't think we need to make a
We don't
motion on
need
it.
to.
I mean, we're already reviewing everything with the alternative HR people, and this is great information to consider. And that's how I want to do it. If somebody's got a better idea, I'm open.
So then we need,
I'm fine with whatever, but what Preston is doing or trying to do is, this evening, is making that job title available to anybody that wants to move into that position. If Terry left tomorrow and we hired somebody in that position, that would be where we would start them out. And according to the HR alternatives, that's basically kind of what the other counties have, that position available on their matrix. So we're not saying that Terry, any wage deal here tonight. It's just that Preston is asking to change the title or create the title of deputy.
Yeah, senior deputy clerk.
Senior deputy
There's
clerk.
2 distinct, there's a deputy clerk and then a senior deputy clerk. They're both,
that's
One's
what
at
you
19.
said twice already.
I know, but sometimes I gotta repeat myself. I didn't have my mic on, okay?
So let's just let, in John's, what if, both your deputy clerks quit tomorrow, you're looking for new deputy clerks, is this something where you'd still be looking for a senior deputy clerk?
If I can find somebody with the experience of 19 years in the office since when I took over, Terry has been the lifeline of the sheriff's office, and I'm her 3rd sheriff. And like I said, it doesn't happen very often. There's a sheriff change in this county, but she's been, a lifeline for me and then the sheriff's office just itself. She does all the pay time cards for all the time cards for all the employees. We have 38 full-time employees plus our part-timers. She does the, I saw, put it in the job description. There's tons of stuff that she does. Like I said, you guys can make a motion on tonight. It can be tabled. You could vote on tonight. She's not getting the pay raise. And
Until August.
yeah, until August of a little over $1,000.
So I thought we had a motion and I thought we had a second.
I don't think there was a
I
second.
guess I would prefer to just, as we're doing a
Table it.
comprehensive review and just, we'll just table this for further discussion.
What's the time frame on this
Well,
comprehensive?
yeah, when
I would say 30 days, 45 tops, probably. We still gotta get all the department heads to agree on everything, so that may be a challenge
And
also.
that, so that would just make sense to do, and if there's other reclassifications, which we've done in the past, that, I think it'd be time to do it, because then we'd also need to update the handbook with job descriptions, right? So, this is, I think, bigger than just, one thing. I'd rather do it one
If that's a motion, I'm seconding it.
motion to table.
Have a motion by Dan, second by Wanda to table the title change for deputies.
On a roll call vote or just a voice vote?
Do roll call, please.
Dan,
Yes,
Wanda,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Don,
No.
John.
No.
No.
She said John
For the last.
for the last
So
one, and he said no
I
again.
have 3 yeas and 2 nays, so the motion passes. Okay. Our next item on the agenda, 10% jail hold. That's you also.
Yep. So before I took office, there was previous county commissioners that had stopped the 10% jail funds. So any revenue that came in, 10% would go into a capital account for any updates or things that need to be fixed in the jail. So that completely got squashed. I've waited about 1.5 years now that we're in June. I would like to see that get reinstated, and Patty would have to give me the amount. I think we're right around $700,000, maybe $600,000.
There's $686,405 in the account right now.
Yeah.
that is there an amount when it gets over, I know the state doesn't like it, so it can be whatever amount.
They're just more worried about how much dollars are just sitting there. They haven't been used. That's what they care about.
What's their number when they start getting?
There isn't really a number they haven't given. It's just they were.
But
is
my
there-
recollection is the reason that we discontinued the 10% set aside is because we did have $686,000 in an account that wasn't being used. So I would think that we leave it the way it is, not add the 10% back in, and when we get to 200,000 in the event that ever happens, then we reinstate the 10%, because there's no point in just continuing to pile up money so the state can get on us about having money that's just sitting, because they seem to get kind of fussy about that.
Sure, do you have any big projects you're looking at
So-
in the near future?
Yeah, that's a good point. So with the feasibility study with the Juvenile Detention Center, I believe as the sheriff of this county, if we can build up an account, and if there is an addition to the jail that would be able to help ease my proposed budget coming up for $500,000 to house juveniles up in Sioux Falls, this account would be able to be helped built up and put towards maybe an addition. The camera system is old. The building is getting old. It's getting paid off next year. So in preparation, so we don't have to raise anybody's taxes, possibly, if this is okay with you, it doesn't have to be 10%, maybe 7%. I just want to help prepare and set the jail up for success if we do a juvenile addition at some point.
Mr. Chair. I think it's really important to have this fund, and the reason being is that the old part of the jail and all the cast iron pipes collect, that was to have females, and now we utilize, I want to say it was around $500,000 that was in this fund to get that portion of the jail back to operate. So I can see it's really important, and, you know, I can see Wanda's point too. What about some sort of compromise where we do a 10% until it reaches $750,000?
That's $14,000.
But I mean, there's money, I mean, we don't want it at millions of dollars, and we don't want it at nothing, so
When's the last time any money was spent out of this?
That was when the women's pod was built,
And that was when?
5 years ago.
5 years ago?
Yeah. So, and this is
So
what I'm
we've
saying
been
is
sitting
that
on
with the,
$686,000 for 5 years.
what's that?
We've been sitting on $686,000 for 5 years.
Yeah, that's just setting your county up for success. I guess we're gonna get a big building.
It's kind of an interesting concept that you would propose something that the government would do to raise the money before they spend it. And I think that's complimentary. I think we should do that.
You know, working with the Juvenile Detention Center staff, you know, last year I think I put $369,000 in for juvenile detention holds in Sioux Falls. And if we can not send that money to Minnehaha County and, you know, have it here, because if we do a co-locate addition to the jail, which the state is okay with, not saying it's anything set in stone, just a feasibility study, but if we can set ourselves up for success like my predecessors did, and your guys' predecessors did, when the jail will be paid off next year, 2025, that this would be something that we could look into for the future success of Yankton County.
How much is the annual payment for this year? The last payment that we're worried about, that's the final payment in 2025.
That would be
That's what I recall.
Wouldn't that be $600,000 that
The
we'll
last
have?
payment is, for 25 is like 200-some thousand, 225,
Okay.
223.
So that would be roughly 223 after that. So we'd have 800,
We'll have- we have-
900,000.
Yeah, we'll have the normal 600, I think it's 621, but next year will be like I
Less.
said, a little over 200.
Is it, so we could put however much money we want, there's no state rules, so we can't have over a certain amount of this account.
That's bonded money, right?
And up- and the case-
When the bond is paid off,
Oh,
that
the
money
jail?
stops, the jail, yes.
And
So that money stops.
Yeah, there's no taxes anymore.
And I just want to say with that account, just like my predecessor, when they redid the women's pod for the girls, it opened up more room because Yankton County needed that space. I just got a call last week from the sheriff in Walworth County, who their commissioner shut down their jail. He is looking to house females down here in Yankton County, all the way from Walworth County up at Mill Bridge. So that's the problems that these counties are facing. If we could just set it up for success, you guys could always transfer that money down the road, couldn't you?
No,
No?
it's
So-
specifically for the jail.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Should you have an amount like that you would like to see me in that, and so we could, I'm just kind of looking for a compromise here, is it, if we're at 600, $1 million, I guess what amount do we want to have in there as a contingency? And I think it's a good idea to have funding in there, because we've used it before, but to other points, we shouldn't have too much money in there just sitting away. So what's the compromise, a dollar amount here?
Ken Hine, well, and you look at Clay County, they passed a bond for their county, they built a $44 million jail.
Was it like 44 bed,
44 bed, 44 million, so if you're housing over in Clay County, you get $1 million bed, I guess. But they do have a safety center in there, so I understand that, but the cost of everything is going up. We as a county have to make a decision if what we're gonna do in the future, just like all of our predecessors did at some point. And if we don't plan now, we're gonna pay it later, or we're gonna pay it somewhere else later. And right now, we're on pace to to be over budget juvenile detention holds up in Minnehaha County. And once their facility gets built, or when it's completed, because right now it's $458 a night, it's going to be, you know, if you want to house them up here, you got to pay what we are charging.
And they say 850 bucks.
But I don't know, but I'm just saying that we need to.
Whatever it is, we'll have to pay it.
And we're the ninth largest county in the state of South Dakota out of 66 counties. So we just need to lead our county into the success, you know, outdoing other counties, in my opinion. It doesn't necessarily have to be 10%. We've gone a year and a half without putting any money in that funds. But now that we're getting deeper in discussions with the juvenile detention, doing a co-locate, if it's feasible, I have to upgrade the camera system, which could be well over $200,000 just in the jail, because those camera systems are old. And I know my predecessor had brought it up to the commission in the past. So this jail's getting older. You still got to upkeep it. When somebody breaks the window, as some people know, they had to represent some. So it's not just a cheap window that you can go down to Mead Lumber and get. So, I mean, does it have to be 10%? No. Should it be something? I think it should be something.
I like the idea of putting a cap on it in terms of total amount. That, you know, once we reach a certain limit, we stop contributing.
Would 10% till we, or 5% till we reach $1 million?
Or why not do the 10% now until the jail's paid off? Then you can stop it again, and then you'll have the, you know, available.
I kind of like that, you know, we're talking about juvenile detention, and this is something that we know that that's a problem coming up, facing us. And I like the idea that we're looking at it. I mean, if we had a cost figure, you know, what's going to take to make that hurdle, and then we base our cap on that. So that, you know, at least, you know, if we're coming into a project, at least we can sort of have our down payment.
So are you suggesting that we table this for now? So we get an answer?
So basically the first estimate that we have gotten on adding on to the jail facility that we already have to house 6 to 8 juveniles plus another 10 marshal holds, by going 2 stories up there, is going to be $10 to $15 million to add that onto our facility right now.
So, you know, if we say that we want to try to be 10%, that's $10 million at least, you know.
How much, has there been an estimate how much for putting them in the basement? Although I know some people have indicated they don't want
I'll
to
just
put
tell you that
children
I'm
in the
not putting
basement.
kids in the basement. That's not, unless you guys want to vote on that, but that's, as a sheriff, I think that'd be just an
Well,
unethical thing to do.
well, I don't think it's a question of ethics, and first
Putting
of all,
kids in
and
the basement.
secondly, we have children that are not behaving, so I don't have a huge problem with
I won't
that.
disagree with you on the behaviour part, but as the strategic plan
Stabbing
for the
people?
county, I think that we just need to plan for the future.
Stabbing people is good behavior?
I just agreed with you, I said it.
10%.
No, just, I gotta work out. Remember on your percent, 10%, you're running 5% or better. I think better inflation over years, and you're not putting much away. You're not even gonna hold that $700,000. It's gonna get smaller.
This 10% is all the jail holds.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
The 10% comes from all the jail holds that we have. But I would like to, I mean, it's up to you, but I would like to talk to our state auditor and see how much, without us getting written up for,
Having too much money.
yes.
But at one time, we must have had $6 million in there to pay for $5 million of this.
No, not in this account.
No.
What's the highest this account's ever been?
This, I think right now,
It couldn't-
might have
couldn't
been
have
7
I think
something.
it was 7 something, I remember at one
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Because even if you have marshal holds at $85,000 a month, and you take 10% of that, times that by 12, I mean, Is that gonna surpass, is that gonna surpass where we're at, or where we were at some point?
Let me ask you about that.
And the other thing is that I can't believe the state would be upset with a county trying to strategically plan ahead for the future of their county. You guys are saving too much money to help plan for your future.
They actually do.
They actually do, they get upset when you have too much
That's
money,
their
and they want to
problem.
get their
That's
claws on it.
That's their problem. What does it cost us money unless it prohibits us from getting grants or other things? If we have good fiscal responsibility, I think that's,
Yeah.
And it could be grants down the line where the state will say, hey, if you're willing to do something for juvenile detention, because, like I said, Walworth County just called about women's housing issues up in Mobridge, South Dakota, and they're thinking about coming down to Yankton to house them. It's a state issue, but let's not make it a county issue. And there's still a feasibility study to be done. We just got a year and a half without putting any money into that account. Like I said, it doesn't have to be 10%, we can do something lower than that. I just think as a county, we should start strategically planning for the future.
I move to table this until Patty gets to talk to the people in Pier to see at what dollar amount the folks in Pier have a problem. They can be the next meeting. I think 2 weeks should be adequate time for her to make a phone call.
The last time we put money in there was April of 2022, and it was 30,000, almost 30,500. And then the monthly, then the next one was 75,000. So it just depends upon, what you get for your jail holds.
What about, to Don's point, you hit the nail right on the head, is that, the state forces us to do the audit and then pay the audit and then criticizes us for being conservative and trying to save money. What about putting in about 5% for now, and then we'll reevaluate, because there's value in saving for the future. I understand that, and we have the difficult task of saving for the future, but then also not putting too much money in there where it could go to other places. So I would do 5% at this point.
I already made a motion, we have to wait for that one before you can make your new motion.
I'll second it.
So I have a motion by Wanda, a second by Ryan to table this issue to the next meeting.
I'd like to find out, yes, where the state is going to be causing a ruckus.
Yeah.
That's a very
They're
But,
just.
Further discussion? Further discussion?
Patty, what happens, what did they say? They just said in the audit, you got a lot of money in there, you should probably, we don't get in trouble.
Well, I get written up.
Yeah,
That's
and
not,
the
that's
other-
not a big deal.
The other reason that the table is too, we are just right now heading into our budget discussion, so this is something that we should definitely keep on the forefront of our budget discussions too.
Yeah.
If we can do this, I think it's a good idea,
Yeah.
if we can do this, but it's also right into our budget discussion. Maybe it's not, we not do right now, but maybe it's something to initiate next year, once we've really kind of worked out the budget for next year.
Yeah.
So, I feel like, yeah, it's definitely something to be good to present, like, I think it's a good idea, and we have this juvenile detention coming up. I think this is a place where we should be investing, we should probably be saving so that we can, if we can get a grant, some of those have to have matching funds and all these other things that we've seen with the bridges, at least we have those monies the right way to go.
Well, and I will say that spoiler alert, the juvenile detention budget's coming to your guys' desk at some point. It's already $500,000 is what I projected. And that's just to house 3 kids full-time for the year up in Indiana County. Be $501,000 just for 3 kids. So,
And just so the audience knows that used to be a state program, and the state in their infinite wisdom said, this is really expensive. Let's let the counties pay for juvenile detention.
That's why
And
they
didn't
have
give
a,
us any more funding. So,
that's why
Okay,
they-
any
that's
further
why they have a
discussion on the-
surplus.
yeah.
Any further discussion on the 10%?
We
Tabling the 10%. Hearing none, roll call vote, Patty.
Linda,
Well, yes,
Brian,
Yes.
Don,
No.
Dan,
Do I have to vote? And to Ryan's point, budgeting is here, I think that's probably the right way to go. Even though I do support putting money in there, I have to vote.
what did you vote?
The table, yeah, so I voted yes.
John?
No. Thank you. I have a 3-2, so the tabling passes.
And to Ryan's point, I think this is a good discussion to have when we come into budgeting.
Yeah.
And it's just a couple weeks away,
Yep.
so.
Next item on the agenda, our ambulance discussion, and this is kind of just an open forum.
Public defender contract.
Pardon?
Public
Did you do number 8? Or is
Public defender contract, I'm sorry. Is
I think that's
Lisa,
Lucy Youngberg, but
Lucy, is she here?
I don't see her here. So let's skip her and go on for now. Can't we just skip her and go on to the
We
ambulance for now?
can, we may. Okay, we'll skip the public defender contract for, at this point in time. Ambulance discussion, and at this point, the ambulance discussion is basically it. It's just a discussion. We want the public to give us some input and thought on future handling of our Yankton County ambulance service. So the floor is open. If you want to come up to the microphone and speak on the ambulance service, give us some input. Jerry?
Good evening again, Jerry Weber, Yankton. And, I guess just for the public's benefit, full disclosure, I am a PRN, paramedic for Yankton County. I was a full-time paramedic for Yankton County up until October of last year. And I should let you know as well that Eric did not know that I was going to come up and share anything. I don't have any inside information to share. This is just my observations from the past several years of this discussion. Obviously, I became interested in this issue when we moved back to Yankton in 2012 because I was part of the organization, either part-time or full-time. I don't know precisely what the revenue shortfalls were over the last several years. But I do remember the discussion from several years ago. I took a deep dive on the internet just to kind of research some of the things that have happened in the past. And I guess my question is, what are we doing? I mean, just in the time that I've been interested in this, we've had discussions about budget shortfalls. We've had a task force. We've had recommendations in that task force. We, at the recommendation, moved our billing to an outside agency, which wasn't, at the time, I don't think, a terrible idea. We had budget issues, we had revenue issues. The idea of hiring somebody that's does it at a professional level, it wasn't a terrible idea. It didn't work out. To be fair to Yankton County, I don't think this particular company works out for a lot of people, and that's just the nature of the beast when you go to a national contract like that. When things get tight, I think smaller customers get a little bit less attention, and I think that's probably what happened. So fast forward to the present day, the building's been moved in-house, and Eric's given us a lot of details about that, and it seems like it's going well. We've paid $50,000 between the city and the county for a study that, honestly, we didn't really learn much from. I mean, we knew that we didn't have enough money. We knew that there was a possibility to form the ambulance district to render that, and we knew that building was basically what they told us for $50,000. And my concern is, based on what I've heard over the last couple of meetings, was that, Nobody does an ambulance district, so I don't know that we should be doing that. Well, then what are we gonna do? I'm wondering if this is gonna be the commission, the county commission, that, finally steps up and either tells our taxpayers, you know what, we need an ambulance, it's expensive, we need to raise your taxes. Or are we gonna have a commission that's gonna approach this kind of underlying sense that has been, I think, present for decades, that the city should be responsible for this, and we should make a small contribution to have the rest of the county covered. When is somebody going to do that? Because we've been discussing some of these things for literally decades. And right now after all this, I appreciate you trying to get public input. I mean, I think it's a good opportunity, but look at the number of people. We don't have that many people. I know we have all this different shit. If you want to get public input, the headline should read, County Commission to suggest tax rate increase for ambulance service. Then you'll get the public input. If the headline read, Yankton County Commission requests X number of dollars from the city commission for employee support, that's going to get you some public input. I guarantee it. When are we going to do something like that? I just saw an article from Rapid City.
Jerry, I don't mean to interrupt, but you got about 20 seconds.
Okay. City of Sturgis. Public service, city, part of their fire department, I believe. They're just reporting a $409,000 shortfall for their ambulance budget. I think we need to get used to the fact that there's always going to be a revenue shortfall based on billing. And we need to get comfortable with that. And we need to be willing to ask the taxpayers to support the ambulance in the county.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Any other comments from the audience? Seeing none, we'll move on.
Mr. Chair, I had a few things I just kind of wanted to go over. I didn't volunteer for this task, but I think Don tasked me with it, and I just agree exactly what you said. I mean, we've been kicking this can down the road for a long time. There was a task force, and the recommendation was to outsource billing, and now the solution is to bring it back in-house. But none of that is going to change the equation that the ambulance is not designed to have revenue. And I think all of us in the community too, is we need to realize, and we need to ask ourselves, do we want to have an ambulance? Yes or no? We don't have to have it. Eric said that numerous times. It's not a requirement. Got to have a jail. Got to have all these other requirements. The state dumped juvenile detention on us. That's going to be $500,000. But they cut your sales tax from 4.5 to 4.3. So you spend $100. You save 20 cents. But they dump all these things on us, and so are we going to have an ambulance or we're not? I think we need to have an ambulance. That's my opinion. I've had people who say we don't. But if our options are county run, there are very few of those in the state. Yankton, by far, we're the largest one. The other options are city run, fire-based, ambulance district. I believe in codified law you can combine fire districts and ambulance. Hospital, like Brookings has, or a private pay system like Brandon has, and I believe Pier has. And there's advantages and disadvantages to each and every one of those. And
Isn't it true that with an ambulance district that some of the real estate owners that don't pay any real estate taxes would then have to pitch in?
I'm not an attorney.
I get that.
I've heard that, but I guess we need clarification from the state's attorney's office. But I really think that's probably the fairest way to go. because it is a vote of the people, and the people can decide, do we want an ambulance, and if we do, are we gonna support it, or they vote no, and they don't want it. I think it makes the most sense to do that. Are we gonna move forward in that regard? Because like the report said, you know, calls are gonna keep going up. They're not gonna go down. The reimbursement is terrible. I don't think we pay our people enough. I think, you know, for what they have to do and the hours they put in and the things they have to see on those calls, I don't think they get nearly enough. I look at the fire districts from years ago when they were all volunteer, or they weren't before they were fire districts, and they're functioning a lot better now with that tax program. And we just approved the Vollen fire district that had unanimous support at a vote. When is the last time you heard of an election being unanimous? So I think our citizens realize that this is important. When you call 911 and need an ambulance, we want one to show up. And not only that, we want to have a great quality ambulance that we can trust, which we do now. The problem is, how do we pay for it? You know, so I think it's up to us. You know, we got to decide, what do we do? And maybe one option while we're deciding is we should approach the city and not put a dollar amount to it, but ask for a little bit of help while we're doing this process. Setting up an ambulance district would require a vote of not only the county, but all our municipalities as well. And so it is a process, but we're going to have to decide what we want.
Say we're losing 700,000 a year. I think that's not too far.
Probably pretty close.
Divided by 23,000 people in the county, that's $30.
How many dollars?
30.
Okay. I thought you said 3.
What?
I said, I thought you said 3, and that didn't make any sense, but okay, 30.
$30 a person.
I think a lot of the problem too is the limits that the state law gives. We can't do a levy of tax in the county for an ambulance. We can do it for roads, we can do it for bridges, we can do it for courthouse, but as far as I know, we can't do it for an ambulance. That's where the ambulance district comes in, and is it a neat, clean system? No, but it's the tools that we have in the state law. I think that we would get.
The bottom line with that, with the district, is whether it's district or what we got now, taxpayers are going to pay for it.
They're paying now out of the property tax.
We're going to pay for it one way or the other. Nobody else is coming in to pay.
If we would go and say we're gonna do a tax opt-out, and it's gonna go to the ambulance, there's nothing stopping a few years down the road from it going somewhere else, because it would go to the general fund. The only way to guarantee that funding is going to an ambulance is via the district. And again, those are the tools that state law has given us.
So in order to get it in front of the people to vote on it, do we have to do a petition, or do we have to just have the state's attorney draft something up?
I believe it's a resolution, is it not, Rob? Resolution via not only the county, but the municipalities that want to be included in
Is that a yes?
That's my understanding.
that.
Yeah.
And then if we do the resolution, then it's open to referral.
Yeah. Well, it has to go to a vote, just like when we did it similar to the Vollen fire district when it had to go to a vote. There was no.
Can we do it in conjunction with the general election in November?
I think if you time it out, I would think so.
Because
I think
that,
there's a time, within 60 days or whatever it says, there's a time. The answer is yes.
and then could the state's attorney's office figure out if the current non-paying real estate tax owners would then have to chip in? Because my recollection is there's a lot of real estate people, holders that are exempt from any property tax.
Eric, you have 3 minutes.
3 minutes. So I have a question for the county commission. What is your happy point with an ambulance service? What is your happy point with an ambulance service?
What is a happy point?
Knowing that they are not designed to make money. You're providing a service for the constituents of Yankton County. If we get our billing back in order, which at the last meeting we discussed, and we can start showing that we're only losing $300,000, maybe $400,000 on everything that we're providing for the county, is that not good, or is that just bad? Do you want an absolute break-even service? That's the question I have to ask, because you're providing a service to the constituents of Yankton County, which costs money. Now, in all transparency, I'm not up here fighting for my job for the fact that I still have a house in Sioux Falls, and if you guys decide to change ambulance services, I can go home and spend more time with my family, which is fine. But I'm sticking up for the people that are currently employed with us and making sure that the constituents of Yankton County are provided for. You have a really outstanding service here, and we're trying to abide and get back to as square as we possibly can. In a couple weeks, I know that we're going to have a presentation for you folks on some numbers that I think is going to be a little bit shocking, but that's why I'm asking the question, at what is the breaking point of that? Because when you start talking fire districts, tax districts, or ambulance districts in the state of South Dakota covered less than 1% of the population. They're a smaller community. When you're talking fires, fire covers 15% of the 911 calls not involving law enforcement. 85% of the calls in the U.S. nationwide are EMS based. We talked to Mitchell today. Mitchell, 90% of their calls are EMS based. They're not fire based. You're not answering fires. The fire departments are kind of working themselves out of a job. They've done a really good job. Our job isn't going to go away. So that's why I'm just posing the question of, what is a happy point for you folks that you're okay continuing on the way it is, or you decide to do something entirely different?
I think the consensus would be we would like to have an ambulance service.
Okay. So,
The only question is, how much money are we going to lose?
okay. So, futuristically looking at it, if we can, our budget's running about 1.4, a little over $1.4 million a year. If we're making $1 to $1.1, $1.2 million a year at a $200,000, $300,000 deficit, we're not spending 10% of the county's budget every year without putting something back in the coffers. We're really spending about 3% after the washout. And to provide that service, I don't think that's a bad thing to do, because you have other things within the city. The airport doesn't make a lot of money, but it's a service that's provided there. You know, so just some things to consider as you continue with this process. If you go to a tax ambulance district, I just answer to an ambulance board, because that's the way the tax districts kind of work, is I answer to that board instead. So just wanted to pose a question. Let you think about it.
Eric, do you have the numbers on what the loss was for the ambulance for the last couple of years?
I'll have it for you in 2 weeks.
Because it's really difficult too, because some of those insurance payments are spread out for a long time.
Yes.
If you could take into account all the liens too, because our mechanism we have in the county is if somebody has a bill and they can't pay, we put a lien on it. But if they don't have any property, there's no way for us to actually recover that.
Correct.
Brian, I don't know, is it billions of dollars in that? But there's never a way to recover that, but that is a loss for the county. I think we just need to take that into account. And we know as an ambulance system, it's never gonna be zero, but I guess we owe it to our constituents to try to get that number as low as we possibly.
Those numbers will be provided for you in 2 weeks.
To answer your question,
Yeah.
I'd be happy to sell if we got another $200,000 loss.
Okay.
I think that'd be a great service we could provide to customers of the county. That'd be about $10 a person.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Eric.
on the second part, is there any, being budgeting time, is there any interest in going to the city? And again, I wouldn't say put a dollar amount on it,
Well, I
but
think,
for some assistance.
I think if we ever got to the point when it's Eric decision, like if we get to the point where, we have a managed loss, everything on the ambulance, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year, then I think it's very easily to go to the city and say, hey, look, 90% of calls are the city calls and stuff like that. This is our shortfall, our annual expected shortfall. We can put a number there.
The only issue, and you're making a great point, the only issue I see in reading that is that the age in Yankton is going to get older and older and older, so that loss is going to So I get what you're saying. It has to do with the reimbursement from the insurance companies, which is only going to get worse. It's not going to get any better, at least in the future.
Pauline Ackland from Yankton. So I've been here before, and evidently I'm the only citizen that really cares about this.
We care about it.
But I will repeat what I was here last time is, one, we have a great ambulance service here that we've built up. When I moved here in '92, it was volunteer, and I think Troy brought that up last time when I was here a few weeks ago. We now have paid employees, okay? We've gone forward. You don't want to take steps backwards. Because you can never regain that ever again. So, and the other thing is you haven't given the billing process a chance to see where you're at, because you spent 3 years looking at your budget and looking at your numbers and seeing those numbers not matching. You should have done something 3 years ago with your billing service. My husband's Medicare bill didn't get paid to the county because it was a problem with the billing service. They've rectified that. Now you need to let the roulette table and let it ride and see where you end up in a little over a year. Give them a chance before you start pulling plugs, because we don't want to lose that ambulance service. We don't want to lose our full-time employees. We don't want to lose our director. So you have to give that a chance before you start talking tax districts and talking, making the city pay part of it, whatever. You have to let it ride and see where you end up at the end of the year. But you as commissioners saw those budget numbers, you saw those comparisons for over 3 years, and nothing was done about it. Something should have been done about that billing and those reimbursements the first year, if you're really looking and digging into your budget numbers and your planning. That's just my thought. I watch my checkbook, and you guys should have been doing the same thing. When you're losing what was the number? $700,000 and some thousand.
That's a rough estimate.
There's probably more than that.
Probably.
So I'm just, I'm for, letting those guys do their job and try and recoup some of this. You're not going to get 100% and have that ambulance service make money. That's one of those services that you're providing. You're never going to make a profit. Your goal is to get close. So let them try and get close. Thank you.
My name is Ben Brunick. I'm on the City Commission. Appreciate you guys coming to the commission meetings. I made a couple of points at the commission meetings that I think would be pertinent to make here. We've had this discussion of, the city paying its share, and I do want to remind everyone that everyone that lives inside of the city of Yankton that pays property taxes pays their fair share of, or pays towards the ambulance. Everyone that's inside of inside of the city limits is inside of the county. Like, so we've talked a number of times about 90% of the calls are inside city limits. I would also like to point out that 100% of the people that live inside the city limits live inside the county.
And that's a good point. This is like really a team effort that we need to take care of our constituents for the community. I don't look at this as a city or county issue. I look at us as a team. We're trying to solve and provide a good service that's affordable to our taxpayers. So I agree with you.
Thank you.
Just one more thing. Just, and you know, a lot of this has to do with the way counties are structured. You know, we've heard in the summer study, 87 roughly % of our budget is mandated by state law. We have to have a VSO, we have to have a sheriff's office, we have to have a jail. When anywhere in the county, when a juvenile misbehaves, it's on the county. We have to pay for that. And we don't have sales tax. We only have property tax, and people, quite frankly, are getting overburdened by that. It's unfortunate, but this budgeting session, we might be cutting entire departments out of the county. It's getting that serious. There's between 12 and 15 counties that are on the verge of bankruptcy throughout the state, and so we see this as an issue. And the responsible thing is to look at it and address it and plan for it instead of waiting until we're in big trouble. So this is something that's on our radar, and we have to look at it, and it's the responsible thing. It would be easy to not have this discussion. We could just move on and kick the can down the road, because that's what's been done for the last 20 years. So that's all I gotta say. So, and thank you guys for your input.
Yeah. And one comment that I want to make is like Ben mentions, is yes, the people that live in the city of Yankton are taxpayers. Some of them are not because of the apartment buildings and complexes and that, but it's not, like Dan said, it's not a city-county issue. And I'm not sitting here expecting the city to roll over and write out a check for $200,000. That's not where we're at, you know. But at the same token, we need to, we're involved with the city to figure out a solution. And between us, we're going to come up with a viable option to what we're going to do with our ambulance service. So therefore, this is just a discussion. We're not sitting here saying that we're going to wake up tomorrow and we're not going to have an ambulance service. We're not sitting here saying that come January 1 of 2025, we're not going to have an ambulance service. I think the 5 of us and 9 of the city commissioners, I think we're all smart enough to figure this out and make it happen one way or another. So that's where I'm at. So let's move on. I don't have any other further. I don't see anybody else coming up with the microphone to discuss. So we're going to move on to need a motion to
I would
adjourn.
move to go into Board of Adjustments.
I have a motion by Gloria, second by Brian, to move into Board of Adjustments.
Good evening. First up, we have a conditional use permit. Applicants requesting conditional use permit to build an accessory structure in high-density residential district that exceeds the maximum aggregate square footage of 1,600 square feet. Applicant wishes to build an accessory structure that is 2304 square feet per Article 8, Section 1807, Article 18, Section 1805, and Article 19, Section 1905. Said property is legally described as CMP First Edition in the northwest quarter of the southeast quarter of Section 27, Township 95 North, Range 56 West of the 5th Principal Meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota. E911 address is 221 Beaver Beach Road, and applicant is here to answer any questions.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, get up to the microphone for our at-home viewers. You have to
Hi,
talk.
my name is Gary Cobley, and this is my wife Carrie.
Okay. Just Have you talked to your neighbors about this
Yes, ma'am,
structure?
yeah.
And,
No objections.
okay,
Right now, the reason we're asking for a conditional use permit is we're moving over to Yankton County. We live in Vermillion, but we moved over here permanent time now. And I need, I'm so far good so far.
Could you help us with our ambulance?
But like I said, we're just, and our actual footage is gonna be 1,980 square feet because just the way our layout is for everything, so it's gonna be smaller, but it's still gonna be bigger than what the 1,600 is.
my second question is, are you gonna run a business out of it?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
It's just gonna be for our cars and our vehicles. Yep.
We're on state lake and we've got 4 jet skis and a boat, and we don't want stuff sitting in the yard that the neighbors have to look at. We like to have it in a garage, so just need a little bit of extra space.
as long as your neighbors don't care.
And we've had a lot of questions. Larry
Olson,
Larry Olson lives out there. We talked to Larry. Mike Stevens lives out there. We talked to him. Larry
Nelson
Yep.
from
And,
Sioux Falls
lives
yeah.
out there.
yeah.
Yep.
And he come down and talk
And
to us.
then Sherry Miller have talked to us. Jean Vicky Compton. Pretty much everybody. So.
What was the last one?
I live about
Okay.
What was the last name?
Gene.
Pumpkin?
Jean and Vicky Compton.
Okay.
Well, letters are sent out to all the neighbors, this is an opportunity to come.
Sometimes they don't show up, that's why I'm asking.
And Mike did have a concern when he came down. He said, what are you planning on building?
And why?
At first, who's building it and what are they? But he knows us. We've been out there for 7 years now, and we've been,
Part-time?
We originally had 2 lots. Our neighbors sold. We bought their 4 lots. So we did some resurveying and rezoning, renaming everything so that we could make everything look like it does in the neighborhood. We don't want something, great big huge sticking out like a sort of boundary. So.
And we're gonna still be using the same service that we have now, same driveway, so we won't be adding anything like that, so.
So do we need a motion on this?
I need a public comment first, so if there's any public comment,
Thank you for your service. Don and I served in the Army.
I see no public comment, so
Move approval of
public comment is closed. So now I would take a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Dan, second by Wanda. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Welcome to the meeting.
Motion carries.
Thanks, Commissioner, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Good luck to you.
Thanks.
Welcome to Yankton County.
We're looking forward to it.
Good.
Next up, we have a variance request. Applicants requesting a variance in A District per Article 5, Section 515, Article 18, Section 1807, and Article 19, Section 1907. Applicants requesting a variance of 25 feet from the front north property line to build an accessory structure. Said property is legally described as the north half of the northeast quarter and the north half of the northwest quarter, excluding the east 280 feet of the west 380 feet, of the north 180 feet of the west 60 acres, Section 8, Township 96 North, Range 56 west of the 5th Principal Meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota. E911 address is 43503 292nd Street, Menno, and the applicant's here to answer any questions.
Welcome.
Any questions from the commission?
You kind of want to explain, looks like you have a floodplain issue and you're not sure why you're moving it or what?
No, I have
He has
an
to tell us his name first.
Cordell Uncle. I have an old barn in the duration in 2021 shipped house foundation. So in 2022 I tore it down. Now I want to put a cabin shelter in that same place where the old building was. But in 1991 I bought the 560 acres myself. In 2000 me and my 2 brothers formed a corporation. we want to keep our houses out of the corporation. So that's why I own the house, and the corporation owns the land around it. And I'm only 25 feet away from, that's where I live. But I'm president of the Monkey Land Cattle Company, which owns the land. So I don't know why I need a variance, because it's all.
Different lots of land, right? Gary, that's the.
Correct.
But I'd like to put the building where the old one was, because I built my corral system around the old barn. The water hydrants there, the water fountains there, electricity's there. So cost-wise, it's the best.
It's just a cabin shed.
Yeah, 30 by 40 is one cabin, right? But the weather's adverse. So.
It's not a deep pit one, it's just.
No, it's just 30 by 40 at the time.
Any other questions? Anybody, any questions from the public? Seeing none, move approval. Public comment is
Second.
closed. Motion by Dan, second by Ryan. Any further discussion by the commission? Hearing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
One abstention.
Thank you very much.
Gary, who was the no vote on the planning commission? Was that?
Sherry.
Oh, she's still against the variance.
Could I ask about that, why she did it?
She's against all variances of this, except for when election time is closed.
Who?
Sherry.
Oh,
I don't know why she.
I mean, I could see it, like my brother lived in the house, and I wanted to build a barn from him. He and I lived there, president of the corporation. But I get your language.
Good luck to you.
Okay,
Congrats.
I move to go back into regular session.
Second.
Motion by Wanda, second by Don.
Oh, you.
Regular session.
And just a point of housekeeping, I did text Lucy Youngberg about item number 8, and she said that she wasn't sure why she was on the agenda, but that she just assumes that the contract will carry through and through 2025, and that it has a built-in adjustment, so she's not planning on coming.
The only thing I had about that, and I might want to ask the state's attorney, and I did talk to Wanda about this, is some of those might be very, very small amount, might be taken over by the Energy Task Force, but it's going to be very minor, right?
Incorrect.
Okay.
The public defender contract that Lucy Youngberg has excludes any of the things that the indigent task force would pay for. Doesn't include appeals, doesn't include habeas corpus, and doesn't include A&N appeals. So that doesn't affect this one at
Thank you
all.
for clarifying. Do you think we should approve this then, or just let it?
Well,
continue?
it's already
Okay.
good through May 31 of 2025, so there's nothing to approve.
Sounds good.
Okay. Back in regular session, June 18 meeting minutes.
Move approval. Second.
Got a motion by Don, second by Ryan, to approve the June 18 meeting minutes. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
I would move approval of the June 2024 payroll.
Second.
Motion by Wanda, second by Dan, to approve the June 2024 payroll. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I would move approval of part 1 of the claims.
Motion by Wanda, second by Don. On part 1 of the claims, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Claims 2,
Move approval.
got a motion by Dan, second by
Second.
Ryan.
I can't, I'm abstaining.
Further discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion
One
carries.
abstention.
With one abstention. Public comments. Public comments closed. Commission updates. Anybody got anything new to say?
I just I wanted to kind of go over some of the successes. The county should have sent out a letter. Had a lot of successes from the association last year: cybersecurity, indigent legal, 911 surcharges. Just a big list of them. And so we did have quite a few wins, but that doesn't mean we don't need to try for some more. So that's all I have.
John, you got any updates?
I have nothing.
Ryan?
I don't have anything.
Wanda?
I'm still struggling to make juveniles behave better.
Okay. Did we ever set the date for the budget hearing?
No, we haven't.
Okay, could we do that?
Yes. Yep.
Because I think I emailed that I'm not going to be able to, I could do.
And I don't want to get real late because
Like-
I have to advertise the 3rd and the 4th, the provisional budget of August.
Patty, this one, is it just the department that's coming in and
Yes,
presenting
and
their budget?
the Dr. Stanage and the city.
I could do the 8th or 9th.
What date was that one?
I can't do the morning of July 10th. I could do the afternoon if we were going to start at like 3, because I have a suppression hearing. I don't know how long it's going to take. Starts at 9, might go till 2. But I could do the morning of July 8th until
We have strategic planning at 3, we could just be here all day.
dare to dream.
I think double meetings, the chair has to.
I bought breakfast the other morning, and nobody had any.
I did.
Oh, yeah, Don did have breakfast.
Otherwise, the 9th, you said in the afternoon would work for you, Mark? Is that correct?
Did you say the 12th to work for you?
The 12th, I can go all day on the 12th.
John,
I'm probably good on the 12th.
yeah, I can't do the 12th.
What about the afternoon of the 9th?
I could do that. Might have to, as long as we're done about 5 or 6.
I got planning and zoning at 7.
So we could stop at 6, Don.
Okay. No, 6:50, then you won't even have to go home.
What time?
1
Got enough time back?
to start.
We'll
Do
have to
you
have,
want the hearings like 5 minutes or 10 minutes?
what I would recommend, because we always stack them up, I would have them really, really close in time, because we're gonna have to fly through this to make it through, and every year, there's always a 20, 30-minute gap where somebody can't get here. I'd just say 5 minutes apart or even less, stack them up, we'll get through it.
How many department heads do we have?
Everybody will come through.
12?
12, or
And plus like Dr. Stanage and the meet.
pathways
and-
and, places.
How many total are there?
Well, the only one I have heard from is the city and Dr. Stanage.
So 10 minutes apart, Dr. Stanage will go
Much-
over.
Much
but
less
that's
than
fine.
that, because some of those budgets are really small, that, the groundskeeping one, that's a couple minutes, 4-H one, it's a couple minutes. I'd say 5 minutes, or even double book some of these, and then that way, if somebody's late, we can rotate somebody in, because we're gonna be on a good time crunch.
So we want to start at 9 on the, or 1 on the 9th? Is that what we're saying?
I can do that.
9 at 1. And I'll try to have your books ready. Maybe I'll just mail them to you.
Can we just come pick them
I'll
up?
come pick them up.
Okay.
Let's just
I'll
do
do
that.
that.
I'll let you know when they're ready.
And then, Patty, you're gonna have do you usually have last year's, or you have a couple years past budgets?
It shows on there what the 24 budget was and what the 23, 22.
It falls off.
I would move to go into.
I got one comment. I got one comment. Our next meeting, I will not be here, so Wanda is going to be chairwoman, chairperson. I will be in Milwaukee for the week, so.
So you're gonna be gone on the 16th?
Yes.
Okay.
I do
I'll be in
have,
Milwaukee at the Republicans National Convention.
Again, braggart. Now I would move to go into executive session for poor relief issues pursuant to SDCL 1-25-2 and 28-13 and 28-13 1.3 and contractual matters.
And I have a motion by Wanda, second by Don, to move into executive session.
Yeah, yeah, well,
yes.
Aye. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
There we go.
I know you didn't need that. It's just the right way to.
Are you getting tired of driving home past my place? No. Actually. Well, I guess they got the street about done, don't they?
Well, they got about a half a mile. Well, the south part, they haven't. But I actually haven't. I'll take them. No, it's good. It's pretty good.
It really wasn't a tractor.
Well, it depends on if where it's done.
Well, and then
Where it's done, yeah. I mean, where it's done, I don't notice it. But
too short of wheelbase. Between the bumps.
yeah. Yeah. I've probably gone through there maybe 4 or 5 times now. I may take them, I'm not sure. But because they still got some of the equipment sitting there at the railroad track.
Yeah, they still
This
got
is
it.
railroad tracks, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah, they got it finished up.
It's
I suppose-
at least a half a mile, if not.
About that.
Yeah.
I suppose the flood
Yeah, oh, yeah.
interrupted their fun.
And they've got a few spots where, you know, that they had a couple places where it broke up. Most of it's come pretty decent. He still hasn't figured out how to spell it in that bridge. I don't know, I'm running on a whole lot of oil roads and you really can't tell where it's stop and start. No, generally, Yankton County, I can remember for the last 50 years it has. They has had some problem with that. But I can remember when I was back in high school that there was some places that they make the overlap. And then, you know, a year or two later, they'd come in and make a very overlay a little spot. It's actually, because the first, because I was trying to think, are they all the way down?
They're done with the one side. They're done with the east side.
Yeah.
I can't remember where they're down. They're about,
They're
down about a mile.
They're on the bridge.
I think so.
Yeah, because I know, I mean, I've been over it not enough time. That, is it on the half mile line?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's where it's at.
Because the south end, they haven't really done much. The last mile, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, that's
It, but actually, they must have added like a foot or two on the side.
Oh, once they got rid of the lift, it did widen out. I mean, that's
Yeah, I mean.
basically what happened. I mean, you get rid of the lift, like, where was that on? The hell, where was that on? Oh, if you go up 19 from 46 to Centerville. My wife was driving the other day, so I was looking around and I was watching the flood and everything, you know. And I'm looking at this flipping road and I'm going, oh shit, there's about
12 inches of lift on this roof. So, and so when they lift it, of course, they all come in, so I'm sure it's 2 foot narrower than it should be. You know, because there's gotta be that much lift in a lot of that stuff. I'm just going, holy smokes. They just keep overlaying this piece.
I can remember when I was a kid when they did, we went, because see, when I started school, it was gravel.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And,
Yep. Yeah, and I think that one north of Valley View, that's the last one,
yeah,
all the way to 46. Because when I was a youngster, they were just working on that.
because I can remember, you know, when I walked
Been in the 70s.
where cousin Ronnie lived, but Howard River lived.
Yeah.
I can remember when they started on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
On Washington?
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Because we went and we would, when we go up to Howard and Roberta's, we'd go up to the intersection a mile north and come back down.
Oh.
I mean, that was, because that's what they did, you know. It was just little old gravel roads then.
Yeah.
And when they did that, they did it, you know, it seemed pretty good at the time. But, you know, now it's
Pretty narrow.
not, yeah. But,
I can't.
but now they've redone that too. So that they've kind of widened it out a little bit.
What's kind of surprising is that little old asphalt plant that they had made as much asphalt as it did.
Oh, yeah.
And then this new one down here, can't even seem to be busy.
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
Because I don't remember when, you know, watching them lay asphalt. I don't ever remember a time when there wasn't a truck waiting to dump into the, you know, machine going where they were going. Just, I don't know why, but.
Because when I started school, it was gravel road going to Bond, gravel road going north, and then going into Bond. Now, I think it did that. I don't remember if they just went up to the 306 or 305, whatever it was. They went up there because I can remember riding the school bus when it was gravel going to Bond. I mean, when I was like first.
Isn't that amazing? We had all them asphalt in 10 years, 15 years.
Yeah, they, you know, they put it on the thing, they were going to have every 2 or 4 miles, they were going to have an asphalt road. I mean, that was kind of the guy who was the county guy. Yeah, here, he was kind of working on that, but they didn't.
Well, that's true. That's true.
But it was.
And nobody went over 45.
No, well, they went fast, but I mean, there weren't big loads.
Yeah.
I mean, because we did everything. Pickup was the.
Yeah.
What?
Back when they first started, yeah, pickup.
'Cause
Gravity wagon.
Gravity, because we got.
Or barge wagon.
Those barge wagon, they 140,
Yeah,
135, 140. The box, they came up when they went out, and they went up. We went to Sioux City and picked them up out down there underneath the viaduct.
Yeah.
I think that's where most of the stuff was. I mean, a lot of farm equipment was.
Dealers were down underneath it.
Yeah, there was
But all-
a lot of them.
A lot either was made in Iowa or
Yeah,
or brought up from somewhere. All the stuff that was stamped, I'm sure it was stamped and then brought here and then put together. You know?
Well, because we went down and we got bought a running gear and 2 boxes. Down there, we went down and the running gear just had 16 or 15 inch tires, 16 inch tires. And we did that, and we'll put the other one in it, and you know, had that, and put the other one, and then we had a truck chassis, which was their house move, because the house, they moved one or two houses into Michiganville with that truck chassis. And, well, they did the one that was, I don't know if you remember where Harlan Peterson lived.
Yeah.
It was, I think, one or two houses south of there. It was one that wasn't very big, but it was our relatives, but it had cinders in the walls. And that's what they moved it with, those 4 wheels. But it wasn't very big, but that was.
Yeah, that one was burned down, I think, by the time I got.
Well, it had cinder. It actually had cinders in the walls, and I think somebody took that apart. I mean, but it was relatives, and I don't remember if those were the relatives that had relatives in New York. That might have been another family, I mean, that they would do the things there. But it wasn't. But it was the walls were full of cinders. So when they moved it on 4 tires, and they actually moved it, and I don't know where they moved it from, but they moved it in, I think, in Mission Hill or somewhere in there, and they moved it up.
Yeah, there used to be a basement right there, south of Harlan Peterson's.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think they put a basement underneath.
Yeah,
but it wasn't real deep.
No, it wasn't real deep, really, no.
And it might have been like 12 by 18.
Yeah, about that, maybe.
It wasn't
real big. Well, most houses weren't.
No, they were.
You know.
Well, the original house was 16 by 20. That was on the old home place. That was, and then they put a 16 by 24, I think, addition on it. No, wait a minute. Let me think. What's that? And another family moved in. Literally, I mean, because it was like 16 by 20, the addition, or 20 by, yeah, I think it was 16 by 20. But the original was a 2-story log cabin, and that had, I think the floor joists were about that far apart, you know, but they weren't very deep, you know, you could touch them. I mean, because they put them in and then they hauled dirt, but they, you know, to the east side or the west side, there was a big pond there, and that's where they took dirt out of that and put it around the house, and then they put it around where the barn was, because that, you know, I think that was raised up close to 2 feet, because that was my hill. I sledded down that. I mean, it was, you know, it was probably about from here to that table, or a little, maybe to the far end of the table, and it dropped about 1.5 to 2 foot. And that was my hill. That was for sledding.
Oh, when you live on the flat way.
Yeah, when you live on the bottom of the earth.
Yeah, you gotta make it up.
Yeah, but that was, God, I forget how big the pond was, but that was where they took all that dirt, and they moved for the barn, and they moved around the house, and some of the other places they raised some other areas. They took the dirt, because that was probably 5 or 6 foot deep, and several acres, yeah. I mean, they used to have, it was big enough, so the church in Mission Hill would have parties out there, because my uncle, when he was a kid and just before that would have been, because he was born in probably 10, 18 or 19, 10. And when he was going to college, because Dad went 1 year, he got to go 1 year of high school because they had 1 year in Mission Hill of high school. They had ninth grade, ninth grade. That was what they had. And Uncle Melvin, he went because he might even gone. Sure, for high school he might have gone, but he took 4 years and then went to college and got a teaching degree. But he wasn't, he was the youngest of the 3 boys, but he was young enough so he went into the service. But he had been through college and had a teaching degree so he could speak French.
Oh, really?
So guess what he got to do? He got to go over to Europe in France and work in France. After, it was after the war, and that he was good at that, which was something else. And then, see, he didn't get married until he was 40, right about 40, because I can remember when they cleaned the barn out, and that's where they had the get together or whatever you call it, but I can remember they had at least 1 or 2 kegs of beer in the barn. And Uncle Melvin was.
He must have splurged.
He was a party. Oh, I mean, well, his wife, she was. The nurse that takes and puts the people under and all that. I mean, she was, anesthesiologist. Yeah, that's what she was doing in YC.
Chloroform, huh?
Yeah. And so that was, and I think they were both right around 40 when they got married. It was something, and I can remember they kind of lived across the road with Grandma. I think that's where they stayed, and then they got, and they walked down from the north place, walked across the road in that, and there was still beer in the keg, and Uncle Melvin liked beer, and his wife was pretty good because she would always get a beer also. And then she'd take a couple drinks out of it, and then she'd give it to Melvin. So Melvin would give to him, and he was not that big, So, but she was a nurse. I mean, she was one of those high expensive nurses because she ran the stuff that put the people under. So she did. She went to Yankton College for anesthesiology out there. I think 2 years at least. But that's Uncle Melvin. So they came out at the night, and she stayed over Uncle Melvin and did that, and so they had to go, but he dressed her up and put men's clothes on her. So when they drove by Hubton's, they could wait. I don't know, Hubton's didn't know that she spent the night out there.
So where did he teach school?
I think he was in Vermillion too, some, but I
don't remember.
Well, I know he was in Vermillion. I can remember doing that because I think he was down in Vermillion by the college or doing some of those things because he did like made costumes and stuff for doing plays and stuff. He did a lot of that stuff. He was quite talented that way. I don't think he farmed that much. I don't know if he farmed at all. Well, basically, he went to school, and then I think he did 4 years of college too. But he was, well, even Dad was very smart too. I mean, but he got to go to the 9th grade in Michigan, but that was his one.
And he had to go home and farm.
Yeah, and then he moved that. He farmed with, well, Leonard. He was first one to come, but he spent a lot of time at Hopkins, and he was, not really a farmer, but he was kind of a mechanic. And then he farmed for a couple, 3 years, and then I think Grandpa got him inclined, so he went to Beersford, and they got a house. He bought a house up there, and I was trying to think, because he worked for a machinery guy up there, and I can't remember which one. I think whether it was a John Deere or it was one of the guys, but he did that, and he stayed there for many years. The kids, they went up and they had, because Paul was the senior when I was an 8th grader, and Carla was, I think, 2 years older. And because their mother had cancer and she died, and they moved down and lived right by up in the North Place.
North Place?
Yeah. Marie, she was, I think, pretty bold. I mean, she was maybe domineering, because Uncle wasn't domineering or anything. I think his wife, or and then the kids, well, they moved in after she died. They came down and moved in with Grandma in the North Place for a couple of years. I think it was like a year or so, because they lived up in school. They went to school, and when they came down, I think Paul was like, I think he was a freshman, because he and Lanny Guster were the same age, but they kind of knew each other and got together in high school. That was a pretty good sized class. There was like 13, 14 kids in that class, I think. But there was
Fallen?
Yeah. Got that fallen. And, Lanny, they got fallen Lanny, and he was an active person. Because I think Paul drove to school the last 2 years, I think. He lived at Grandma's up there. They lived up there for a couple, 3 years. Across the road. And he helped Dad did chores and stuff. He'd go do chores in the morning before he went to school. But then his dad, he worked in Yankton here because he was Bill did on the west side of town here, one of those places where they built a lot of machines and stuff different. It was. Oh, I think.
These are cushier than anywhere else you can find.
Yeah.
Because you lean back and
Yeah.
might as
See you
well,
later.
probably nothing coming out from here.
No, I doubt
When
it.
did, you know that old house with Bagstead's? Where grandmother-
Oh, by Mission Hill.
Yeah, on the east side there.
Yeah.
Would that be, would the construction of that thing be 2x4s all the way up to the top of that? Or would they, in that big old two-sided?
Yeah, because that was, I think that's something come out of a building that came out of Yankton. I think they put the thing out, that was made. So I think it was one or two older houses that got moved out of Yankton.
Really? Huh. Yeah.
Take her easy.
I move to go back into regular session.
I got a motion by Wanda, second by Don, to move into back into regular session.
I would move to approve CW BUR 24-02-001 for funeral costs in the amount of $1,250.
Second. A motion by Wanda, second by Dan, to approve the funeral costs for whoever. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I move to adjourn.
Items.
Any
next
items
meeting.
for next meeting?
Let's put ambulance discussion on again.
What, did you say ambulance again?
Ambulance again.
And you wanted the resolution or not?
TIF resolution?
I'd say we could do the TIF resolution for the next meeting unless you want to wait until I'm back. You guys can handle that. I will try to call in if timing works.
I wonder if we should have a study on the culverts.
On what?
Discussion in culverts, on culverts.
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 Sorry,
The things that go under the roads.
What do you?
Because they're out of the thousands, so many of them are plugged. And whose responsibility is that? And when are we gonna get sued because the drainage don't work?
Is there a lot of plug culverts? I don't know.
When it rained like it did, that's when you know there's problems. And what I think the best thing to do is to maybe have Mike put it on this list. I don't know if maybe we'll get to it this summer, or maybe that could be a fall project or something. I don't know. But it thinks.
Mike told me that I think thinks it's a county issue if it's plugged. But if it's plugged because a bunch of corn stalks floated into the ditch and plugged it up, then
Why is that not a landowner issue?
that's the landowner issue.
I think we got.
But we need to set an expectation so that the customer knows where they stand. I don't know if anybody does.
Don't most of those farmers graze off their corn stalks?
But
Don't most farmers graze off their corn stalks?
It's a water issue on it.
I'm
They
sorry?
all, it's a water issue, they all flip. Oh.
Okay, you gotta come up.
Make me come up and do this? All right, I'll come up and
And
do
make
this.
sure you turn your microphone
Okay, I'll
on for
turn
the
my
at-home,
microphone on so everybody can hear me.
for the at-home viewers.
Yeah, I don't do it.
It's a water issue. It's it's something that floats in from, gosh, who knows where, and it's the water that, brings all the corn stalks and everything down and plugs the culverts. But it's really not a landowner issue because it's a Yankton County culvert, and
So it's my
Most-
fault you
Or-
don't
or
graze,
town.
Yes, pretty
Or
much,
my
or
fault, you
township, or township.
you
And
don't graze your corn
most,
stalks on.
most townships and counties don't want anybody messing around in their ditches, just for liability issues and everything else that, you know, however they want them cleaned, it's usually up to the county to come in and clean out whatever's in the ditch, no matter where it comes from. Because we don't know how far those corn stalks came, they might have come from 5 miles away. So, just, you never know with that fun water thing we've been having.
So will you be coming to the next meeting to discuss culverts?
I didn't
Good
say we
question.
have it on the next meeting, but we need to.
Well, we could, we can have a discussion.
Maybe the
Talk to
best,
Mike about it.
yeah, let's like have Mike get a plan and see, and, you know, we also gotta be prepared if some of these culverts are plugged, it's, you know, maybe put them stocks, it might be that all the metal's rusted out.
Oh, yeah,
And then, you know, we start cleaning them, you know, are we prepared to start replacing them? Because that's not in the fight.
We-
That's not the budget.
We've been doing liners on culverts,
Yeah.
several culverts every year.
The fiberglass, you know, that's cost effective in a lot of circumstances. Paved roads, they're really deep, but on, you know, a gravel road that's foot deep, it's a good idea, it's just not cost effective because it costs more.
Just one farmer that contacted me on it, he cleans out his ditch, but the other side of the road, the guy didn't do anything, because he don't want the water coming that way. Anyway,
Let's get Mike's opinion on it, it's a good topic to bring up.
Okay,
Motion adjourned.
Again,
I
move
got a
to,
motion to adjourn by Wanda, second by Dan. Further discussion, hearing none, all in favor, aye. Meeting adjourned.